Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. You are sitting in a quiet, wood-paneled office. The air is thick with the scent of old paper and the heavy, somber expectations that follow a funeral. You are there with your siblings to hear the final wishes of your mother. You've already mentally divided the furniture, the house, and the savings account. After all, you are her flesh and blood. You assume that the law of nature and the law of the land are on your side. But then, the lawyer clears his throat and reads a name that makes the room go cold. The house, the money, the jewelry, everything you believed was yours by right of birth simply evaporates. It hasn't gone to a distant cousin or a hidden charity. It has been left, in its entirety, to a stranger, specifically, the man who lived in the house next door. In that moment, the fury is inevitable. The incomprehension settles in like a thick fog, and one question echoes through your mind. How could she do this to us? But the motive behind this decision, my friends, is enough to either break your heart into 1,000 pieces or ignite a level of rage you've never felt before. Today, we are diving deep into a story that asks the most uncomfortable question of all. Who does love really belong to? Is it a debt owed to blood or a reward earned through presence? The scene that followed that lawyer's announcement was one of pure, unadulterated shock. For the family, the news was a physical blow. They looked at the legal documents as if they were written in a foreign language. How is it possible that a lifetime of family history, of holiday photos and shared surnames, could be undone by a single signature on a piece of paper? For many, the expectation of an inheritance is more than just a financial hope. It is seen as the final validation of love. It's the last thank you or the ultimate recognition of one's place in the family hierarchy. To have that stripped away and handed to someone from outside the circle feels like the ultimate betrayal. It feels like your mother did unjust give away her money. It feels like she gave away your childhood, your identity, and your worth. But as the dust began to settle and the lawyers started to explain the why, the story took a turn that no one in that room was prepared for. You see, the stranger in this will wasn't just a casual acquaintance. He wasn't a man who simply waved from his driveway once a week. According to the records and the testimony left behind, this neighbor had spent the last 5 years acting as the elderly woman's primary anchor to the world. He was the one who noticed when her lights didn't come on in the morning. He was the one who brought over warm soup when the winter chill got into her bones. But most importantly, he was the one there during the Siren moments. On 3 separate occasions, the woman had suffered severe medical emergencies where her life was hanging by a literal thread. In each of those terrifying moments, it was the neighbor who heard the fall, called the ambulance, and sat in the cold, fluorescent light of the emergency room, holding her hand until she woke up. And where were the children? Where were the ones who expected the house and the bank accounts? According to the mother's own diary entries, they were unreachable. Their cell phones were off, or they were too busy at work to take the call, or they simply ignored the ringing, assuming someone else would handle it. They were waiting for the inheritance, but they were absent for the life that created it. This reveals a pattern that is becoming a painful and increasingly common reality in our modern world. The profound absence of those who, by nature, should be the closest to us. It forces us to look in the mirror and question the very definition of family. Does the word family come from a DNA sequence, or does it come from a series of actions? Is love something that is locked into your genes, or is it something that must be cultivated, protected, and proven during the hardest hours of the night? This mother, in her final months of clarity, made a choice that wasn't about spite. It wasn't about getting back at her children. It was a choice that exposed a fundamental failure in those who were supposed to be her safe harbor. She realized that her children were treating her like a statue, something that just exists in the background until it's time to be moved or sold, while her neighbor treated her like a human being who was still alive and still in need of a hand to hold. The truth we have to face is brutal, but it is incredibly simple. When this mother left her legacy to the man next door, she wasn't acting out of malice. She was simply practicing a form of radical honesty. She was recognizing who actually stood by her side when the world got dark and quiet. She revealed a life plan where care and presence were valued more than a shared last name. To her, the treasure wasn't the gold or the real estate. The true treasure was the attention, the dignity, and the time she received when she was at her most vulnerable. She decided that this treasure should belong to the person who earned it through his actions, not the people who expected it because of their birth certificates. It is a massive paradigm shift that makes us all reflect who is your real family. In the final chapters of our lives, the family of choice might be the only one that truly matters. This mother's will wasn't just a legal document. It was a mirror held up to her children's faces, ripping away the facade of family loyalty to show the empty space where their presence should have been. It reminds us that if you want to inherit the fruits of a lifetime, you have to be willing to help tend the garden while the sun is still out. So, I want to put this to you, because this is a question that affects every single one of us as we age and as we watch our own families grow. What do you think of this mother's decision? Do you believe that an inheritance is an inalienable right of blood that should never be broken, regardless of how the children behave? Or do you believe that a legacy should be a reflection of who actually cared for the person in their hour of need? Was she right to reward the neighbor, or was she wrong to punish her children for their absence? This is a complicated emotional topic that touches on the very core of what we owe each other as human beings. Please, share your perspective in the comments. Tell me if you've seen a situation like this, or if you've been the one left holding the hand of someone who was owned to your blood because their own family was nowhere to be found. Your stories and your insights help us all navigate the complex, often heartbreaking dynamics of family in the modern age. Let's talk about what it really means to belong to someone. Do UNT forget to like and share this video at SA conversation that every family needs to have before the lawyers are the only ones left talking.